I have traveled to the birthplace of aviation, otherwise known as Dayton, Ohio, after hearing some alarming news about a Wright Brothers related historic site. There was a surprisingly big fuss online, alongside several articles about how the first Wright Brothers cycle shop was set to be demolished. Now, I didn't think that building still existed. I thought it was long gone and that only the 4th and 5th structures used as bicycle shops by the Wright brothers were still standing. But all this media did pique my curiosity, and since I was passing by Dayton, I thought I would go into town and investigate. So we're going to take a look at that condemned first Wright Cycle Shop, then look for other Wright Cycle shops. This here is the structure shrouded by controversy at 1005 West 3rd Street. This building is known as the Gem City Ice Cream Company building. As of November 29th, 2021, it is set for demolition. Now, the Wright brothers didn't really have their bicycle shop in this building, as this facade in the front was built in 1914. However, there are apparently some sections inside the building that are older, including potential remnants of the structure the Wrights were in. This is definitely the site of the first Wright Cycle Exchange Shop in 1892, and the Wright brothers were only here for about a year before moving to a location that used to stand a few buildings down. This large building, which became an ice cream factory, was apparently expanded around the original structure that housed the first bike shop. But obviously it's not remotely the same building, and the majority of the original structure was certainly removed 100 years ago anyways, so you could do the whole ship of Theseus debate about the structure, but I don't think it's really the same building, just the site upon which the inventors of aviation got their start in the bicycle business. The facade is really cool. It still says the Gem City Ice Cream Company up there. They were the first ice cream manufacturers in the city, and one of the first in the state. It is a historic structure and is a contributing property on the National Register of Historic Places. However, it has clearly been abandoned for a long time. It was apparently built using some very unusual construction methods over time and is very structurally unstable. In late November of 2021, the City of Dayton Board of Zoning Appeals decided that it was too unsafe and it is now set for demolition at some unknown point. The Dayton Landmarks Commission and other groups have been trying to save the building and find some use for it, but none have been successful, as the zoning board has finally overturned the Landmark Commission's appeal. I asked a ranger at the nearby Dayton Aviation Heritage National Historical Park about this structure and the controversy. She insisted it wasn't the same building the Wright brothers were in at all, and didn't understand why so many media sites were making a big deal out of it, and some were providing some confusing and incorrect information about how original the structure is, and the headlines do almost always read First Wright Cycle Shop being demolished, which is a little dishonest and definitely clickbaity. Apparently the museum has gotten a lot of calls and emails about it from concerned people after seeing these articles. There's apparently a lot of confusion going around. But yeah, it is hardly, if at all, the same structure the Wright brothers were in, and this is pretty much just the site. It's definitely sad that this building will be demolished, and I hope something can happen to reverse its demolition. The Wright brothers once roamed this street all the time, as all 5 of their main bicycle shops were within a couple blocks of here. Just 2 blocks away from the first Wright Cycle Shop site is Dayton Aviation Heritage National Historical Park, a National Park Service museum about the Wright brothers in Dayton, inside 2 authentic structures used by the Wright brothers in various business ventures. I will not be doing my usual museum tour today. I just wanted to come in for a quick look since I was here. I will be returning to Dayton in the future for a full experience and to film lots of videos on the amazing museums and historic places here, like the National Museum of the U.S. Air Force, Carillon Historical Park, this museum, and many other fascinating sites. It's a really cool city. On the 2nd floor of this building is the restored Wright Brothers printing shop. Wilbur and Orville Wright were printers before they got into the bicycle business, and before they discovered the key to flying and eventually starting their own aircraft business. They moved their printing press and other equipment into this suite back in 1890 and were here for 5 years, during which time they opened their first bicycle shop location nearby. Most of this is their authentic printing equipment, which is pretty amazing. And this was a printing press used to make toy Wright Flyers after the Wright brothers took off in popularity. Local children could save specific cereal box tops and send them in to get a toy Wright Flyer off of this press. This bench was used on the rear porch of the Wright family home here in Dayton. That empty space over there was the site of the 5th and final Wright Cycle Shop. And out this window, we can see the real 4th Wright Cycle Shop. The 2nd and 3rd cycle shops were destroyed a long time ago. They were just a block or two away from here. But this very structure did house the 4th location of the Wright Cycle Company from 1895 to 1897. It is a National Historic Landmark. This is the only authentic cycle shop used by the Wright brothers still standing here in Dayton. However, it was very neglected until about 3 decades ago. It was converted into a rental apartment unit for a long time, and this section in the front was added on at some point. That's a photograph of the building when people were living in it, from about 60-70 years ago. While stationed in this building, the Wright brothers actually began building and selling their own bicycle designs. There was the Van Cleve design, which became quite popular, and the St. Clair, which was a little cheaper. The Wright brothers were also really getting into their aeronautical research during their time here. These are some authentic relics from the Wright's bicycle shop, including pieces from some of their bikes. The ranger here told me that a lot of people apparently think that this cycle shop, the only one standing in Dayton, is the one being demolished. Thankfully that is not true, and it will hopefully never happen. There's a cool mural of the Wright brothers and Paul Lawrence Dunbar. On the next block over at 1127 West 3rd Street is the site of the 5th and final Wright Cycle Company location. While it is no longer here, the building still exists. Back in 1937, it was relocated to Henry Ford's Greenfield Village in Dearborn, Michigan, with the blessing and restoration help from Orville Wright himself. They sold bicycles in the shop at this location until 1909, well after they had become the first men to successfully fly and create a heavier-than-air flying contraption. The building was converted for the airplane business after 1909. They actually made a full-scale replica of this cycle shop at Carillon Historical Park here in Dayton. It was upon this ground that the Wright brothers constructed their first successful airplane, the 1903 Wright Flyer. They built it in a back room. Here at the site where the world's first airplane was built, there is an airplane mosaic on the ground. It's just an empty lot now, but this is certainly historic ground, and luckily the building itself found a loving home elsewhere. A few blocks away is the site of the Wright family home at 7 Hawthorne Street. It is also an empty lot now, with a recreated foundation built on the site, along with a partial recreation of the front porch. The real one was built by the Wright brothers themselves. This home was also bought and moved by Henry Ford to Greenfield Village in 1937, along with the cycle shop. The Wright family moved into the home that used to be here in 1871. That same year, Orville Wright was born here. Their sister Catherine was also born in the house, and Wilbur died in that house in 1912. Nowadays, there's a bronze bicycle where the Wright brothers used to park theirs. What's neat about this location is that they have recreated the foundation on the site of the house, showing the floor plan and where the rooms used to be. I'm standing in the space the Wright's parlor used to occupy. The front door led to the sitting room there. The dining room was in the center. Then the winter kitchen was here. On the back side of the property there was a summer kitchen and an outhouse. Their foundations aren't marked, but they were also moved to Greenfield Village as well. Ford even had the layer of dirt under both this house and the cycle shop moved to Greenfield Village as well. But this is the real location and neighborhood where the Wright brothers grew up and lived as they became the first men in history to fly. There's also a replica of the house directly across the street now. So that was an interesting stop in Dayton. Again, I will be revisiting for a much more thorough visitation in the future. I just wanted to see what was going on with that first cycle shop. Also, there will eventually be full videos on the Wright Home and Cycle Shop at Greenfield Village on this channel. Now I am heading into the little town of Yellow Springs, Ohio. originally founded as a utopian community, and it has a long history as an out-of-place progressive hippie village in rural Ohio, which is definitely still evident today. Unfortunately, I don't really have time to explore this trip. The Glen Helen Nature Preserve here is supposedly cool. But I did want to see this, Ha Ha Pizza, which was featured in Dave Chappelle's Block Party. The comedian does live around here. I really wanted to check out this cryptid mural on the side, and it's amazing. I do appreciate how they give center stage treatment to my favorite, the jackalope. It's good to see him get the respect they deserve. This mural is really cool. There's a chupacabra eating pizza. I also noticed a UFO up there, and even Sasquatch is making a rare appearance. There are a lot of cryptids missing from this mural, but it hits some of the highlights, and it's really great. I hope you enjoyed this recount of the Wright Cycle Company's history. Hopefully this cleared up a little confusion for some, or caused more, I don't know. There is more content related to the Wright Brothers story in Dayton coming to this channel, and I'll also visit Yellow Springs again sometime. If you want to stay in the loop, then please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'd also appreciate if you'd like the video, share it, and check out some of my other videos. I have filmed a lot of videos on historic sites, museums, roadside attractions, national parks, cryptids, and all sorts of other fun and fascinating stuff. And thanks for watching.